The sensor array blinked red across 3 different screens simultaneously. Taileyes pressed 2 of his 4 hands against the console, while his other pair rapidly typed commands into the system. His Centauran physiology made multitasking natural, but even he felt overwhelmed by what the readings showed. The small survey vessel had been charting uninhabited systems near the galactic rim when something impossible appeared on their scanners. "Rennick, verify these numbers," Taileyes said, his translator converting his native clicks into standard coalition speech. "This planet is producing more refined metals than our entire home sector." The science officer, a crystalline being whose body refracted light in geometric patterns, floated closer to examine the data. Rennick had served with the Coalition Survey Corps for 18 cycles, mapping resources across hundreds of worlds. Nothing in that experience prepared him for what he saw now. "Confirmed. The energy signatures suggest massive industrial operations, thousands of them." Rennick's voice hummed like wind through crystal caves. "But preliminary scans show no space-faring capability. They have not even achieved fusion power yet." Taileyes felt his secondary heart skip. A pre-contact civilization with this level of manufacturing capacity was unprecedented. More importantly, it was exactly what the Coalition desperately needed. The war against the Harvesters had been grinding on for 97 years now. Coalition forces were losing ground every cycle, not because their technology was inferior, but because they simply could not produce enough weapons fast enough. "Send the data to Coalition Command," Taileyes ordered. "Mark it Priority 1. We may have found something that changes everything." 3 weeks later, Taileyes stood in a much larger ship, watching the blue-green planet rotate beneath them. Coalition first contact protocols required careful observation before making any approach. The initial team had been studying the inhabitants for 20 days, learning their languages, understanding their culture. What they discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. "They call themselves humans," explained the xenoanthropologist, a 6-legged creature named Ferris. "They have over 200 separate nations, constantly competing with each other. Their entire history is warfare and conflict." "And manufacturing," Rennick added, pulling up holographic displays. "Look at this. They have something called an assembly line. Instead of crafting each item individually, they create systems that produce thousands of identical objects. This facility here makes personal transport vehicles, 3,000 per day from a single location." Taileyes studied the images of human factories. Massive buildings stretched across kilometers, smoke rising from countless chimneys. Rivers of molten metal poured into molds. Robotic arms assembled components at speeds that seemed impossible. The sheer scale of it all made his head ache. "The Harvesters will reach the Centauran system in 6 months, Taileyes said quietly. "Our weapons production cannot meet demand. We are fighting with equipment designed for border skirmishes, not total war. If we continue at current capacity, we will lose." "You are suggesting we recruit a pre-spaceflight species into a galactic war?" Ferris asked, concern evident in his fluctuating tone. "I am suggesting we offer them a choice. Join us willingly or wait until the Harvesters find them anyway." Taileyes pointed at the planet below. "They have survived by making better weapons than their enemies. That is their entire evolutionary path. War is what they know." The decision to make contact came from Coalition Command within hours. The situation was that desperate. Taileyes personally led the delegation, taking a small shuttle down to the planet's surface. They chose to land at the headquarters of the humans' unified diplomatic body, something called the United Nations. Security forces surrounded the shuttle immediately, weapons drawn. Taileyes noted with professional interest that human soldiers maintained excellent firing positions and clear fields of coverage. They were primitive by Coalition standards, using chemical propellants and kinetic projectiles, but their tactical discipline was flawless. A human woman approached, flanked by guards. She wore formal attire and carried herself with obvious authority. Her hair was gray, her skin brown, and her eyes sharp with intelligence. "I am Secretary General Rodriguez," she said in English. Taylai's translator processed the words instantly. "I speak on behalf of Earth's nations. Your arrival was detected 6 hours ago. We have been expecting you." "You were expecting first contact with alien life?" Taylai asked, surprised. "We have been watching the stars for a very long time," Rodriguez replied. "Anyone with that many ships in orbit is either here to conquer or to ask for help. You do not have enough ships to conquer us, so you must need something." Taylai appreciated her directness. He gestured with one hand toward the sky. "My people, the Centaurans, are part of a coalition of 47 species. We are at war with an enemy that wishes to harvest all biological life in the galaxy. We are losing. We need weapons, many weapons, more than our current industrial capacity can produce." Rodriguez studied him carefully. "And you think we can help with that?" "We know you can," Rennick interjected, pulling up data on a portable display. "Your species produces more manufactured goods than any civilization we have encountered. You have refined industrial processes to an art form. One of your nations produces more steel in a single day than most coalition worlds produce in a year. We also noticed," Rodriguez said carefully, "that your weapons technology is significantly advanced compared to your manufacturing techniques. Your plasma rifles are elegant designs, but your production facilities are inefficient and slow." Taylai felt hope bloom in his chest. She understood already. "You have examined our technology." "Your ships are not as stealthy as you believe," Rodriguez smiled slightly. "We have excellent observational capabilities. Show me your weapon specifications. Let me see what you need built. Then we can discuss terms." As they walked toward the United Nations building, Taylai sent a coded message back to the fleet. The humans were not just capable of helping. They were already thinking like military contractors. This backward planet might just save the entire galaxy. The conference room fell silent as General Patricia Hayes placed a disassembled plasma rifle on the table. Pieces of alien technology scattered across the polished wood surface like a puzzle waiting to be solved. Coalition observers watched nervously, while human engineers leaned forward with undisguised interest. "This is beautiful work," Hayes said, running her fingers along the crystalline power chamber. "Elegant, efficient, and completely wrong for mass production." Taylai felt his posture stiffen. That weapon represents 200 years of coalition engineering refinement. "I am not questioning its effectiveness," Hayes replied, her tone professional but firm. "I am saying you designed it like artists instead of manufacturers. Every component requires individual calibration. The power coupling needs 3 different rare elements. Assembly time is what, 4 months per unit?" "6 months," Rennick admitted quietly, "with skilled technicians." Hayes nodded, unsurprised. She picked up the weapon's targeting system, a delicate array of crystalline circuits. "We can reproduce this functionality with simpler components. Solid-state electronics instead of crystal matrices. Standardized parts that any factory can produce. Same performance, 1/10 the production time." "Impossible," said Ferris, his 6 legs shifting with agitation. "The crystal matrices are essential for proper energy distribution." A human engineer named David Park spoke up. "We use similar principles in our telecommunications systems. Fiber optics, semiconductor arrays, optical computing. Different materials, same physics." He pulled up schematics on a tablet. "Give us 2 weeks. We will build you a prototype." 2 weeks? Taylai could not hide his skepticism. "Our prototype facilities need months to produce a single test model." Rodriguez, sitting at the head of the table, smiled. "General Hayes, show them the Detroit facility." The holographic display shifted to show an enormous complex of buildings. Humans and machines moved in coordinated chaos, assembling vehicles at impossible speeds. Metal flowed, parts came together, finished products rolled off lines in steady streams. This single factory produces 8,500 vehicles every day, Hayes explained. We call it an assembly line. Each worker performs one specific task over and over perfectly. The product moves down the line, getting assembled piece by piece. We have been doing this for over 100 years. But each product is identical, Rennick objected. There is no room for customization or individual variation. Exactly, Hayes said. When you need 10 million rifles that all work the same way, identical is what you want. A soldier does not need a unique weapon. They need one that fires every single time they pull the trigger, that takes the same ammunition as everyone else's, that any technician can repair with standard parts. Taileyes considered this. The coalition approach to weapons manufacturing emphasized quality and individual craftsmanship. Each weapon was a masterwork, but masterworks took time, and time was something they did not have. You would redesign our weapons completely, he asked. We would improve them, Rodriguez corrected. Keep what works, change what does not. Make them simpler to build, easier to maintain, faster to produce. Your plasma technology is solid. Your delivery method needs work. Over the next week, human engineers swarmed over coalition technology samples like ants over sugar. They took measurements, ran tests, argued over designs, and filled countless screens with calculations. Coalition observers watched in amazement as humans worked 18-hour days, consuming massive amounts of coffee and barely sleeping. David Park led the weapons team. His background in aerospace engineering gave him insights into energy distribution and thermal management. He approached the plasma rifle like an aircraft designer, looking for ways to reduce weight, improve efficiency, and simplify construction. The problem is handcrafting, he explained to Taileyes during one late-night session. You treat each rifle like a custom sports car. We need to treat them like commercial aircraft. Standardized components, rigorous testing, perfect repeatability. Will they perform as well? Taileyes asked. Better, David said confidently. We are not just copying your design, we are optimizing it. Better heat dissipation, faster recharge, modular power cells that can be swapped in seconds. And we can make 1,000 of them in the time it takes you to make one. 12 days after starting, the prototype was complete. Human and alien representatives gathered at a military testing range in Nevada. The desert stretched empty for kilometers, perfect for weapons testing. Targets had been set up at various distances. David handed the rifle to Taileyes. Same weight as the original, comfortable grip for most coalition species. We included adjustable stocks for different body types. Taileyes examined the weapon carefully. It looked different from coalition models, more angular and aggressive, but felt balanced in his hands. He aimed at a target 200 meters away and fired. The plasma bolt struck dead center, vaporizing the target completely. The weapon's recoil was minimal, the recharge time noticeably faster than standard coalition rifles. Taileyes fired again, then again, emptying the entire power cell in rapid succession. Impressive, he said, his voice carrying genuine respect. How long to build this? 72 hours, David replied. Most of that was testing. Once we set up proper production, we can reduce assembly time to under 40 minutes per unit. Ferris stepped forward, his skepticism evident. You cannot possibly maintain that pace, not with proper quality control. Hayes pulled out a tablet and showed him production projections. We have 42 facilities capable of retooling for weapons production within 30 days. Each facility can produce 2,000 units per day once fully operational. That is 84,000 rifles daily, over 2 million per month. The silence that followed was profound. Rennick performed rapid calculations, his crystalline body pulsing with light. Those numbers would require the combined output of 70 coalition worlds working at full capacity. "We are one world," Rodriguez said simply, "but we have spent our entire existence learning to make things efficiently. It is what we do best." Tail Eyes looked at the rifle in his hands, then at the smoking remains of the target. He thought about coalition forces struggling with outdated equipment, about ships without proper weapons, about soldiers dying because supplies could not reach them fast enough. "When can you begin full production?" he asked. "We already have," Hayes said. 3 facilities started retooling yesterday. First delivery of 100,000 units in 2 weeks. If your coalition council approves, we can have 5 million rifles ready within 90 days. Tail Eyes sent an encrypted message to Coalition Command. 3 simple words: "We found hope." 6 months changed everything. Rennick stood in the observation deck of a coalition cruiser, watching Earth's orbital space fill with transport vessels. Ships came and went in steady streams, carrying weapons, armor, ammunition, and equipment to coalition forces across 40 systems. The blue planet below had become the beating heart of the war effort. "The latest combat reports are encouraging," Ferris said, his translator converting pleased clicks into standard speech. "Our forces pushed the harvesters back from the Deneb colonies. First time we have gained ground in 30 years. Rennick pulled up tactical data on his display. Coalition soldiers equipped with Earth-manufactured weapons showed dramatically improved performance. The new rifles were more reliable, the armor lighter and stronger, the equipment easier to maintain. But more importantly, there was enough of everything. Soldiers no longer rationed ammunition. Damaged equipment was replaced instead of endlessly repaired. "It is not just the quantity," Rennick observed. "The humans keep improving the designs. Every production run includes small refinements." Below them, Earth's factories worked around the clock. China's industrial zones produced millions of power cells monthly. Germany's precision manufacturing created targeting systems of unprecedented accuracy. American facilities assembled complete weapon systems. Brazil's mines provided raw materials. India's electronics sector built communication equipment. Every nation contributed something to the effort. In a facility outside Detroit, Rebecca Wu examined a sample of coalition armor plating. The materials scientist had spent 3 months studying alien metallurgy, and what she discovered fascinated her. The armor used exotic elements that were rare and expensive, but their primary function was strength and heat resistance. Earth had materials that could do the same job. "We can replace 70% of these exotic materials with titanium ceramic composites," she explained to a group of coalition engineers. "Add a graphene layer for energy dispersion. The result is lighter, cheaper, and actually stronger against kinetic impacts." A Centauran engineer named Vorin examined her data carefully. "But the energy resistance will be inferior to our current specifications." Rebecca smiled. "Not if we add a reactive coating. When plasma hits it, the surface layer ablates and disperses the energy. We use similar principles in spacecraft heat shields. The armor sacrifices its outer layer to protect what is underneath." "How much would this cost compared to current armor?" Vorin asked. "1/10 the price, and we can produce it 10 times faster." The Coalition Council approved the new armor design within days. Within weeks, manufacturing facilities across Earth were producing millions of plates. Soldiers in the field reported that the new protection was lighter and more comfortable. More importantly, it worked. Casualty rates dropped by 40% in the first month of deployment. David Park had moved beyond individual weapons to larger systems. His team was redesigning coalition fighter craft, applying principles from Earth's aerospace industry. The result was a ship that looked nothing like traditional coalition designs but performed far better. "You built it like a sports car," David explained to Admiral Ferris during a design review. "All curves and elegance. beautiful but not optimal for combat. The new fighter was angular and aggressive, with sharp lines and efficient surfaces. Its engines used a hybrid system combining coalition plasma technology with human turbine principles. The weapons were mounted for maximum firing arcs. Every system was modular for quick field repairs. "It is ugly," Farah said bluntly. "It is effective," David countered. 40% faster, 60% more maneuverable, twice the weapon's payload, and we can build 3 of them in the time it takes to build one of your current models." Test flights proved David right. Coalition pilots adapted quickly to the new craft, appreciating its responsiveness and raw power. Production began immediately, with facilities in Japan, France, and South Korea churning out hundreds of fighters weekly. But Earth's contribution went beyond hardware. Human military advisors began training coalition forces in new tactics. Concepts like combined arms, suppressing fire, tactical retreats, and asymmetric warfare were foreign to coalition military doctrine. They had always fought defensively, reacting to harvester attacks. General Hayes led a seminar for coalition officers at a base in Colorado. Holographic displays showed historical human battles, from ancient Roman formations to modern mechanized warfare. "You fight like you are trying not to lose," Hayes said bluntly. "We fight to win. There is a difference." She showed them footage of human forces using terrain, coordinating different unit types, exploiting enemy weaknesses. Coalition officers watched in fascination as human soldiers accomplished objectives through cleverness rather than superior firepower. "Your species has been at war with itself for thousands of years," Talais observed. He had become Earth's primary coalition liaison, spending more time on the planet than in space. "You developed these tactics through constant conflict." "We did," Hayes agreed. "And that experience is now yours to use. Every lesson we learned, every mistake we made, every victory we achieved, we are sharing all of it." Coalition forces began implementing human tactical doctrines. The results were dramatic. Harvester forces, accustomed to predictable coalition responses, suddenly faced enemies who flanked them, ambushed them, and used terrain to their advantage. Battle after battle ended in coalition victories. In orbit around Earth, a massive construction project was underway. Human shipyards were building coalition vessels using Earth manufacturing techniques. What took coalition facilities 2 years to complete, Earth could finish in 8 months. The ships were built in sections, assembled in orbit, and tested rigorously before delivery. Talais toured one of these shipyards with Rodriguez and Hayes. They floated in zero gravity, watching robotic arms maneuver massive hull sections into place. Sparks flew from welding operations. Transport pods ferried materials from Earth's surface. "We have received requests from 18 coalition worlds," Rodriguez said. "They want to establish their own manufacturing facilities using Earth methods, transfer the technology, teach them our processes." "Will you agree?" Talais asked. "Of course," Rodriguez replied. This was never about Earth dominating production. It was about saving lives. If other worlds can produce equipment efficiently, everyone benefits. "Though I suspect Earth will remain the primary supplier for quite some time," Hayes added with a slight smile. "We have a head start measured in centuries of industrial development." Rennick pulled up a strategic display showing coalition territory. Red zones indicated harvester-controlled space, blue showed coalition holdings. For the first time in decades, blue was expanding while red contracted. "We are winning," he said, wonder in his voice. "After 97 years of losing ground, we are actually winning." "You were always capable of winning," Hayes said. "You just needed the tools. We are happy to provide them." Talais looked at Earth below, its cities glowing in the darkness, its factories burning bright. This violent, warlike species had taken coalition desperation and turned it into hope. They had not just supplied weapons, they had revolutionized everything. The alert came at 3 in the morning, Greenwich Mean Time. Automated defense systems detected the hyperspace signatures first, massive distortions in spacetime that indicated incoming vessels. Within seconds, sirens wailed across military installations on 6 continents. The harvesters had found Earth. Colonel James Bennett was already awake when his communicator buzzed. He had been reviewing defensive positions at the North American Command Center, knowing this day would come eventually. Every weapon humanity had built for others could be traced back to its point of origin. The harvesters were not stupid. "How many ships?" he asked, pulling up tactical displays. 200 and counting, the sensor operator replied, her voice tight with tension. "They are emerging near Mars orbit, harvester heavy cruisers and assault carriers." Bennett felt his stomach drop. The Coalition defense fleet stationed around Earth numbered only 32 ships. Good ships, built to human specifications and crewed by experienced Coalition personnel, but massively outnumbered. He opened a channel to General Hayes at NORAD headquarters. "Ma'am, we have incoming hostiles, big fleet. They are coming for the factories." Hayes appeared on his screen, already in full combat gear. "Deploy all orbital platforms, bring terrestrial defense networks online, and get me Admiral Ferris." In orbit, the Coalition defense fleet moved into position. Ferris commanded from the bridge of a heavy cruiser, one of the new Earth-built designs. His tactical officer was human, a Navy veteran named Sophie Grant who understood both Coalition technology and human combat doctrine. "They outnumber us 7-1, Sophie said calmly, studying the enemy formation. "Classic harvester approach, overwhelming force, direct assault, no subtlety." "Then we give them something they do not expect," Ferris replied. He opened channels to all ships in the fleet. "All vessels implement Hayes Protocol 7, hit and fade tactics, never stay engaged for more than 30 seconds, make them chase us." The harvester fleet advanced in a solid wall, their ships moving in perfect synchronization. The hive mind that controlled them operated like a single massive organism, efficient but predictable. They expected Coalition forces to form a defensive line and engage in a slugging match. Instead, the Coalition ships scattered. Individual vessels darted forward, fired concentrated volleys at harvester ships, then retreated at full speed before return fire could hit them. The Earth-built weapons hit harder and recharged faster than anything harvesters had faced before. Coalition ships were also faster and more maneuverable, designed using human aerospace principles. The harvester fleet tried to adapt, splitting into pursuit groups, but the Coalition ships refused to be pinned down, using the debris field between Mars and Earth as cover. They fought like wolves harassing a bear, striking from unexpected angles then vanishing. On Earth, Bennett coordinated ground defenses from a command bunker deep beneath the Colorado Mountains. Screens showed him everything: fleet positions, orbital platform status, surface installations, civilian evacuation progress. Billions of people were moving to underground shelters, an evacuation plan that had been drilled monthly since Earth joined the Coalition. "First wave of harvester landing pods detected," a sensor operator announced. "They are targeting Shanghai, Detroit, Mumbai, and Sao Paulo, major industrial centers." "They want to destroy our production capacity," Hayes observed from her station. "Take that away, and the Coalition loses its primary advantage." "Then we make them pay for every meter of ground," Bennett replied. He opened channels to military commanders in each targeted city. "All units, weapons free. Show them what happens when they invade a planet that has been at war with itself for 10,000 years." The first harvester pods crashed through the atmosphere like meteors, heat shields glowing red. They slammed into the ground outside Shanghai, hatches opening to release hundreds of harvester soldiers. The creatures were insectoid horrors, all chitin and blades and biological weapons, controlled by a distant hive mind. They expected minimal resistance from a pre-spaceflight species. They found Marines instead. Captain Lin Chen commanded a defensive position on Shanghai's outskirts. Her battalion had prepared for this, digging in with interlocking fields of fire, preset artillery coordinates, and layered defensive positions. The harvesters charged forward in a coordinated wave, trying to overwhelm human positions with numbers. Human weapons roared in response. Machine guns, artillery, mortars, rockets, and plasma rifles built to human specifications. The harvesters had never faced enemies who used cover effectively, who coordinated fire support, who understood concepts like kill zones and tactical retreats. Fall back to secondary positions, Lin ordered after the first wave broke against their lines. Let them advance into the kill box. The harvesters pursued, thinking they had won. They moved into an area carefully prepared with mines, overlapping firing positions, and preset artillery strikes. Human forces opened up from three sides simultaneously, catching the harvesters in a devastating crossfire. Similar scenes played out across 4 continents. Harvester forces were used to fighting defensive coalition species who retreated when pressed. Humans did not retreat. They traded ground for time, funneled enemies into prepared positions, and fought with a creativity born from millennia of warfare. In Detroit, factory workers joined the defense. Armed with weapons from their own assembly lines, they fought alongside soldiers to protect their city. The harvesters had never encountered civilians who knew how to fight. Above the planet, the space battle intensified. Harvester ships broke through the coalition fleet's mobile defense, pushing toward Earth orbit. They encountered the planet's orbital defense platforms, massive weapons stations built using Earth technology. Rebecca Wu watched from an observation bunker as her creation activated. She had spent 4 months designing a weapon specifically to counter harvester shields. The platforms unleashed electromagnetic pulses tuned to the exact frequency of harvester energy systems. Harvester ships went dark by the dozen, their shields failing, their weapons offline. They tumbled helplessly in orbit as coalition ships moved in to finish them. The orbital platforms fired again, massive railguns launching projectiles at tremendous speeds, kinetic weapons that ignored shields and punched through armor. "It is working," Rennick breathed, watching from a coalition command ship. "The harvesters are falling back." But Ferris remained tense. "They are regrouping, not retreating. Look at their formation. They are preparing for a final push." He was right. The harvester fleet consolidated into a single massive formation, every surviving ship focusing on one objective, breaking through to Earth's surface. They would sacrifice everything to destroy the factories. "Admiral, we cannot stop them all," Sophie said quietly. "If they are willing to take casualties, some will get through." Ferris opened a channel to Earth Command. "General Hayes, they are coming. Prepare for orbital bombardment." Hayes looked at Bennett, then at Rodriguez, who had joined them in the command center. The Secretary General nodded once. "Activate Project Hammer," Hayes ordered. "Let us show them what happens when you threaten our home." In orbit, previously hidden weapons platforms came online. They had been disguised as communications satellites and research stations, scattered across Earth orbit. Each platform contained a weapon so simple it was elegant. Massive chunks of tungsten and titanium, accelerated to tremendous speeds using magnetic rails. Kinetic impactors, telephone poles made of metal, moving at orbital velocities. Earth had been making weapons for others but had kept the best for itself. The platforms fired. Hundreds of projectiles streaked toward the harvester fleet, moving too fast for point defense systems to intercept. Each impactor hit with the force of a tactical nuke, pure kinetic energy ripping through shields and armor. Harvester ships broke apart under the onslaught. The survivors scattered, their coordinated assault shattered. Coalition ships pressed the attack, Earth-built weapons tearing into damaged vessels. "They are running," Rennick said, disbelief in his voice. "The harvesters are actually retreating." Bennett watched the tactical display as harvester forces withdrew, leaving debris and destruction in their wake. Earth had held, bloodied, damaged, but unbroken. "Count our losses," Hayes ordered, "and prepare damage reports. They will be back." 14 months after the harvester attack, Earth had transformed from a weapons supplier into a fortress. Rodriguez walked through the observation deck of Gateway Station, the massive orbital facility that served as Coalition headquarters in the Sol system. Ships from 40 different species moved through organized traffic lanes, bringing materials and taking away finished weapons. "The Council is concerned," Counselor Varus said, walking beside her. The tall, slender alien resembled a praying mantis but moved with fluid grace. "Earth produces 63% of all Coalition military equipment. That concentration of power makes some members uncomfortable." Rodriguez stopped at a viewport showing Earth below. New orbital construction filled the space around the planet. Defense platforms, shipyards, research stations, and manufacturing facilities created a shell of industrial might. "We never asked for this responsibility," she replied. "Your coalition came to us desperate for help. We provided it. Now you fear we have become too useful." "Not fear," Varus corrected carefully. "Concern. Your species is violent by nature. You have been at war with yourselves since before you discovered fire. What happens when this conflict ends? Will you turn those weapons on us?" Before Rodriguez could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Every screen shifted to show incoming intelligence reports. Harvester fleet movements, massive force concentrations, all pointing toward one destination. "They are coming back," Rennick said, appearing beside them with tail eyes close behind. 5 million ships, the largest armada ever assembled. Target is Earth itself." 5 million, Varus went pale, his skin shifting to a sickly green color. "That is impossible to defend against. We must evacuate the planet immediately." "Evacuate 8 billion people?" Rodriguez asked. "Where would they go? And what happens to Coalition weapons production when Earth falls?" "Then we are doomed," Varus said flatly. "No defense can stop that many ships." "No conventional defense," Tail Eyes agreed. "But Earth has not been building conventional defenses. Show them Rebecca." Rebecca Wu appeared on a holographic display from her laboratory on Earth's moon. Behind her, massive construction projects covered the lunar surface. Weapons emplacements, shield generators, power stations, and facilities that defied easy classification. "We have been preparing for this," Rebecca said simply. "When the harvesters attacked before, we learned their tactics, their technology, their weaknesses. We have spent 14 months building counters to everything they can throw at us." She brought up schematics that made Varus's eyes widen. Weapons platforms using combined human and coalition technology, scaled up to sizes that seemed impossible. Energy shields based on harvester frequency analysis. And something else, a weapon so ambitious it bordered on insanity. "You turned the entire moon into a weapons platform," Varus whispered. "We turned it into the weapons platform," David Park said, joining the transmission. "Every factory on Earth has been producing components. Every coalition species contributed technology. We have 6 months to finish it before the harvesters arrive." The project was code-named Forge, and it represented the pinnacle of human manufacturing capability combined with alien technical knowledge. The moon's surface now bristled with thousands of weapon emplacements, all tied into a central coordination system. Power generation on a scale never before attempted. Defensive shields strong enough to protect a small planet. But Forge's true purpose was more ambitious. Deep within the lunar crust, human engineers and coalition scientists had built the largest weapon ever conceived. A resonance pulse generator capable of disrupting the harvester hive mind across an entire star system. The theory is sound, Rennick explained during a council briefing. Harvesters communicate through quantum entanglement across vast distances. If we can generate the right frequency pulse, we can disrupt their coordination temporarily. Individual harvester ships become isolated, confused, vulnerable. How long will the disruption last? Ferris asked. 12 to 18 minutes, Rebecca admitted. But 12 minutes of uncoordinated harvesters is 12 minutes where they fight like individuals instead of a hive. We can exploit that. The Coalition Council debated for hours. Some members, like Varus, argued for evacuation and abandoning Earth. Others wanted to bring every available ship to defend humanity's homeworld. Admiral Ferris proposed a third option. "We use this as bait," he said. "Let the harvesters commit everything to destroying Earth. When they do, we hit them with this resonance weapon and coordinate a counterattack using every coalition ship in the galaxy. We turn their overwhelming force into a weakness." "You propose using Earth as the killing ground for the largest space battle in galactic history," Varus objected. "The casualties would be catastrophic." "The casualties if we lose would be worse," Hayes countered from Earth. "Every species the harvesters have destroyed, every world they have harvested. We end it here or we all die eventually." The vote was close, but the decision was made. Earth would stand. The coalition would gather every available ship for a final confrontation. And humanity would reveal what 6,000 years of weapons development experience could create when given access to advanced alien technology. Production across Earth went into overdrive. Factories that had been running at capacity somehow found ways to increase output. New facilities opened daily. Civilian volunteers worked alongside soldiers and engineers, everyone understanding what was at stake. Nations that had been rivals for centuries worked together seamlessly. Chinese factories produced power cores using American designs. European precision manufacturing created components assembled in African facilities. South American materials fed Asian production lines. Earth had finally found a common purpose that transcended all historical divisions. Coalition species sent their best and brightest to help. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and specialists from 47 different civilizations worked alongside humans. They shared knowledge freely, combining strengths to overcome weaknesses. A Centauran engineer named Vorin worked with David Park on fighter improvements. "You humans approach problems differently than we do," Vorin observed. "We seek elegant solutions. You seek effective ones." "Elegance is nice," David replied, "but effective keeps you alive." In orbit around Jupiter, coalition fleets gathered. 50,000 ships representing every species in the Alliance, all equipped with Earth-manufactured weapons and trained in human tactical doctrines. Ferris commanded the combined fleet from a massive Earth-built dreadnought. "They will outnumber us 100 to 1, Sophie Grant said, reviewing tactical projections. "Even with our advantages, the mathematics are against us." "Mathematics did not account for human stubbornness," Ferris replied, "or coalition unity. We have never fought together like this before, never had a common cause that united every species." Tailai stood on Earth's surface, watching construction crews put finishing touches on surface defense installations. Rodriguez joined him, both looking up at the stars where the battle would be fought. "Do you ever regret finding us?" Rodriguez asked. "Never," Tailai said firmly. "You gave us hope when we had none. Whatever happens, Earth changed everything. You showed 47 species that warfare is not about superior technology. It is about determination, creativity, and the will to protect what you value." "We learned that from fighting each other for millennia," Rodriguez said quietly. "Now we use those lessons to protect everyone." 6 months passed in frantic preparation. When long-range sensors finally detected the Harvester Armada, Earth was ready. 5 million enemy ships against one world and its allies. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. The Harvester Armada emerged from hyperspace like a storm made solid. 5 million ships blocked out the stars, their formation so vast it took hours for the entire fleet to complete transit. From Earth, the approaching mass looked like a wall of darkness consuming the galaxy. Bennett stood in the command center, watching tactical displays that showed the impossible scale of what they faced. Every screen was filled with red markers indicating enemy ships. The blue markers representing coalition forces seemed pitifully small by comparison. "All defensive positions report ready," Hayes said, her voice steady despite the odds. "Orbital platforms armed, lunar systems at full power, ground forces in position." "Coalition fleet is moving to intercept," Ferris reported from his flagship near Jupiter. "We will engage them as far from Earth as possible. Buy time for the resonance weapon to charge." The space between Jupiter and Earth became a battlefield unlike anything in recorded history. Coalition ships, though vastly outnumbered, fought with coordinated precision that caught harvesters off guard. Human tactical doctrines had transformed the way coalition forces engaged, turning predictable defensive forces into aggressive hunters. Sophie Grant coordinated fleet movements from Ferris's bridge, her experience with Earth military doctrine proving invaluable. "Strike Group 7, hit their flank then withdraw. Group 12, suppressing fire on that dreadnought cluster. Make them react to us." The coalition fought like Earth had taught them, never standing still, always moving, using terrain and debris as cover. They concentrated fire on individual targets, destroying them quickly then moving to the next. The harvesters tried to overwhelm through numbers, but numbers became a liability when ships collided with each other trying to pursue fast-moving coalition fighters. On the Moon, Rebecca Wu monitored power levels for the resonance weapon. The massive device drew energy from generators spread across the entire lunar surface. Charging it required more power than human civilization had generated in its entire history before joining the coalition. 90% charged, she reported. "We need another 8 minutes." "The fleet cannot hold for 8 minutes, Taileyes replied from his command position on Gateway Station. "The harvesters are breaking through our lines." Indeed, sheer numbers were beginning to tell. For every harvester ship destroyed, 10 more took its place. Coalition vessels fought brilliantly, but attrition was inevitable. The Harvester Vanguard pushed past Jupiter, then Mars, advancing steadily toward Earth. "Activate close-range defenses," Hayes ordered. "All orbital platforms engage at maximum range." Earth's orbital defenses opened fire. Thousands of platforms unleashed everything they had: plasma cannons, railguns, missile swarms, laser batteries, and weapons that combined human and alien principles. The space around Earth became a web of destructive energy. Harvester ships died by the hundreds, then thousands, but more kept coming. They crashed against Earth's defenses like waves against a cliff, each wave wearing down the stone a little more. On the ground, military forces prepared for the inevitable breakthrough. When Harvester landing pods began their descent, they were met with overwhelming firepower. Human soldiers and coalition allies fought side by side, defending their adopted homeworld with everything they had. Lin Chen commanded her position outside Shanghai again, this time with coalition troops fighting alongside her Marines. A Centauran named Corin operated a heavy plasma cannon, while human soldiers provided covering fire. "They keep coming," Corin said, firing into the endless waves of harvester soldiers. "Then we keep shooting," Lin replied, reloading her rifle. "That is what we do." In orbit, the situation was becoming desperate. Coalition ships were being destroyed faster than they could inflict losses. The Harvester fleet had absorbed everything thrown at it and still numbered in the millions. Resonance weapon charged to 98%, Rebecca announced. Close enough, firing now. The moon's surface lit up like a miniature sun. Energy gathered from 1,000 points, focusing through the massive weapon system built into the lunar crust. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Harvester fleet went silent. Every ship stopped moving simultaneously. The perfect coordination that made them deadly vanished instantly. 5 million vessels suddenly became 5 million individuals, each acting independently without the hive mind to guide them. All ships attack now, Ferris ordered. Target the largest vessels first. The coalition fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. Harvester ships tried to respond but lacked coordination. Some fired on their own forces by mistake. Others attempted to retreat while their neighbors advanced. The disciplined armada became a chaotic mob. Earth's orbital platforms fired at maximum rate, picking off confused harvester vessels. Human-designed weapon systems proved their worth, the targeting computers adapting to enemy movements faster than biological minds could process. How long until they recover? Hayes demanded. 15 minutes, Rennick estimated. Maybe less. Their hive mind is adapting to the interference. Then we make these 15 minutes count, Bennett said. He opened channels to all ground forces. Push them back. Every landing force, every pod, drive them off our world. Human and coalition soldiers advanced together, exploiting the confusion among harvester ground forces. Without hive mind coordination, the insectoid warriors were vulnerable. They died in droves as combined arms tactics caught them in kill zones. In space, David Park led a strike group of Earth-built fighters directly into the heart of the Harvester fleet. His target was their command ships, the massive vessels that housed the central hive mind nodes. "Follow me in," David transmitted. "Take out those dreadnoughts and the whole fleet loses cohesion permanently." The coalition pilots followed him without hesitation. They had learned to trust human tactical instincts. The fighter group penetrated deep into enemy formations, destroying confused harvester vessels that failed to coordinate point defense. David locked onto the largest command ship and fired everything his fighter carried. Missiles, plasma bolts, and a final kinetic impactor slammed into the vessel's core. The ship broke apart in a massive explosion that took out 36 nearby harvester vessels. Similar attacks across the battlefield destroyed 7 more command ships. The Harvester fleet began to fragment, large sections losing all coordination as their connection to the hive mind failed completely. "They are breaking," Sophie reported, hardly daring to believe it. "The fleet is fragmenting into isolated groups." "Press the attack," Ferris ordered. "Do not let them regroup." The battle raged for another 6 hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. Without coordination, the Harvester numerical advantage became meaningless. Coalition forces methodically destroyed isolated groups of enemy ships. Survivors fled back into hyperspace, abandoning the attack. When silence finally fell, the space around Earth was filled with debris from both sides. Coalition losses were heavy, nearly 30% of the defending fleet destroyed. But the Harvester armada was shattered. 5 million ships had been reduced to scattered survivors. On Earth's surface, exhausted soldiers watched the last Harvester pods retreat. Lin Chen sat on rubble that had been a building, sharing rations with Corin. "We won," the Centauran said, disbelief in his voice. "We survived," Lin corrected. "That counts as winning." 2 weeks later, Coalition Council convened on Gateway Station. Representatives from every species gathered to discuss the aftermath. The Harvester threat still existed, but their power was broken. For the first time in a century, Coalition space was expanding instead of contracting. Varus approached Rodriguez during a break in proceedings. "I owe you an apology. I feared your species would become a threat to the Coalition. Instead, you saved us all." We were a threat, Rodriguez replied honestly. To our enemies, that is what you needed. Taileyes joined them, looking worn but satisfied. The Council has voted. Earth is designated as permanent coalition headquarters. Sol System becomes the capital of the Alliance. We accept, Rodriguez said. On one condition. Our factories continue producing weapons, but we also build schools, hospitals, research facilities. Earth becomes a forge not just for war, but for peace. Agreed, Taileyes said. Though I suspect your factories will remain quite busy. 47 species want to learn human manufacturing techniques now. On the moon, Rebecca Wu stood in the control room of the resonance weapon. The massive device had saved billions of lives. Now it would be dismantled, its technology shared across coalition space for defensive purposes only. David Park joined her, both looking at Earth through the lunar window. Their home planet had become the heart of galactic civilization, the place where desperate aliens had found hope and humanity had found purpose. Do you think we did the right thing? Rebecca asked. Teaching the galaxy how to make better weapons. We taught them how to defend what they love, David replied. That is always the right thing. Bennett and Hayes watched from Earth as coalition ships departed, carrying weapons and knowledge back to their homeworlds. The blue planet that had been nothing but violent potential was now the protector of galactic peace. We spent 10,000 years fighting each other, Hayes said quietly. Now we fight for everyone. Maybe that is what we were meant for all along, Bennett replied, to be the galaxy's shield. Earth rotated peacefully below them, its factories still running, still building, still forging the future one weapon at a time. The ultimate weapon factory had become the foundation of hope.